Hello, everybody. And today I am with Natalia Millman, who is a disciplinary artist. And we are going to talk about a very special event that Natalia has created, which is called Letters to Forever. So, welcome, Natalia.
Thank you, Tara, for having me here today.
Well, it's an absolute honor, and it really has been wonderful getting to know you in the last few months and learning more about this project, which we're going to talk about today. But maybe first of all, you could just introduce yourself and who you are and what you do, and and a little bit about the project itself.
Mhm. Okay. I'm originally from Ukraine. I was born in a creative family, and we had paintbrushes and paint lying around, and it was a natural thing for us to use in our life. And I moved to the UK in 2001, so 24 years ago. So a big chunk of my life is already in the UK. Um, and art was always present in my life in childhood. Um, but I guess I started looking at it seriously when my daughter was born, and I've experienced motherhood, which was another transformational experience, like grief. And in a way, you can compare them. You kind of gain something amazing, but you lose something within you. So I wasn't totally prepared for this, and I was encouraged to go back to art and kind of explore what it stirs in me and refocus myself and find something new in art, go back to my roots, maybe my childhood, and that was really, really helpful. So I did a weekly art classes, and then I've progressed onto an emerging artist platform, Studio Fridays, where I've been a few years, and that's when my dad passed away in 2019. Um, but I remember then, even before his passing, I was kind of focusing on painting, but I was starting to explore other mediums like photography and writing and sculpture and tactility in my work. Um, so I guess when he died and things started to happen and I started to process my grief, I kind of explored that in a bigger sense. So I can call myself a multidisciplinary artist because I'm drawn to lots of creative channels, and I'm trying different tools to kind of express things that I sometimes find difficult to express with language.
And it's interesting you're saying, it's difficult to express with language, but then you were really inspired to ask people to write about
Yeah.
that grief. And what was it about the form of letter writing that
Yeah.
appealed to you?
Yeah, writing is not happening. Well, we know the benefits of writing. I think it's widely spoken now, journaling and morning pages. We know how beneficial it is for us, because writing is something. I think there was a quote saying, "I don't know what for somebody saying, I don't know what I think unless I write it down." So it does kind of help us understand what's happening in our head. Because right now, for example, I don't know about you, Tara, but I'm thinking about lots of things, and when you sit down and write things down, is you can see it clearly and you can find solutions. You can kind of find ways to kind of put everything in the shelves in your head. So I thought writing is a useful way to actually sit down and find time and actually connect with your own feelings, and instead of running around and being busy like we always are. So that's why in this project I encouraged people, I invited people to take a piece of paper, choose the pen, and find time, dedicate time to sit down with their grief and loss, and think about that person who they lost or that situation of loss, and write it out and see where it's going to take them. So yeah, so the idea of this project was to collect letters from people. They're all strangers, and they send me letters, and it was incredible to actually feel how they entrust me. They don't know me, but they share their story. Um, and me in the process, I thought, okay, so I've got these letters, these amazing stories. As an artist, what can I do with them? And I thought, how about if I read this letter, and I was really at that point when in grief, I started exploring spirituality and kind of, as you know, Tara, everything kind of really, you start looking deep inside you, and your heart kind of opens up and becomes curious, and you don't know this new feeling that you experience, and you kind of want to understand it so badly. And I was interested in that kind of thing. I guess the search was looking for my dad everywhere, and I was motivated to kind of create a connection with him. So that was, this project is a connection with him, and the people who write to me, they're helping me to connect with him. And as an artist, I thought, okay, if I create some sort of ritual where I read these letters and I spend time just feeling these emotions, kind of connecting to the story and the words, and trying to get as close as possible to this letter and the people, and just kind of intuitively create marks on the paper and see what happens. So for me as a perfectionist, that was quite challenging because everything in my life has to be perfect and good to certain high level. So that was a challenge. I consciously told myself that I'm not going, in this situation, this project, I'm going to actually let it go and kind of detach myself from the result and make things imperfect on purpose. And if I do a drawing, I'm not going to go back to it and improve it. So it's in a way kind of like a dialogue with that person who I send me the letter. I don't know them, and I'm kind of having a conversation with them. Yeah, like answering back with my drawing.
Well, I think what you're sharing is so touching about how the process of grief made you curious and it
Mm,
made you want to, open your heart and find ways of connecting with your father. And grief has this element where we can go to creativity.
yeah,
And this is what you are doing with your event. And that even many of us may not think that we're creative people,
mhm,
but we all have a form of creativity, and you're encompassing more than, you've got the maybe share a little bit more about what's included in the event itself, because it's
yeah,
running for 3 weeks in
yes, it's yeah.
August. Mm.
Yeah, so it's 3 weeks in August. 6th of August is this opening, and it goes up until 28th of August. 3 weeks. Um, the event takes place in the church in St. Albans, and I consciously wanted it to be not a gallery space. I wanted to be a venue with a certain energy and a meaning. This is where we come for reflection, for stillness. This is where major life events are happening. And I really wanted this project to be in this space. It's nothing religious, but it's a space of calmness, of taking time from hustle and bustle outside to come in and sit in that space and spend time with artwork, reading the letters, looking at the drawings. There is a book as well that I'm publishing, which is another way of looking at the letters, kind of flicking through and getting maybe into detail, and reading them in more detail. And there will be a scent that I'm creating in collaboration. So I'm collaborating with a few artists as well, which is quite exciting and a new concept for me. There's video work and performance where we'll be reading letters live. There's sculpture as well, and textile work that I'm embroidering. And that's actually based on the phrases that So I'm not just reading the letters. What I do as well is I'm actually analyzing them. So I'm using narrative analysis. So each letter has I have a little questionnaire, and then each letter I'm kind of answering questions according to this questionnaire. And for example, the questions will be about common themes, the words that people use, or repetitions or metaphors. And I've read all the letters and I've pulled out key kind of repetitive phrases that people use. And these are the phrases that are being constantly repeated are I hope, I miss, I'm sorry, and I wish. And out of these, I miss is the most frequently used. And what I'm doing with textile work is I'm embroidering 121 times of I miss, 97 times of I'm sorry, and it's going to be like a very thin fabric with all this embroidery hanging in the church. And a sound piece as well. I'm recording a sound bath with healing frequencies where people can just put headphones on half an hour and they just kind of listen to this healing sound bath to kind of refocus their brain. There's a grief meditation that I've put together. And after that, there's a space where people can actually co-create. So after listening to their meditation, where I'm kind of encouraging people to connect with their grief in the body, because we know how embodied this experience is. Then they kind of move to the corner and they can respond to that experience through words again, also little drawings that will be displayed as well. And there are a couple of like a full-size pieces, or you can see a few behind me. They are actually representing me and kind of mapping my grief in my body, because it's usually kind of throat chakra for me and a kind of the chest. And I'm also kind of reading the letters and trying to remember how people describe grief as a whole, as a cavity, as emptiness, as a cliff, but mostly as a whole. And so there are some kind of holes as well in this drawing. So it's another kind of a few pieces will be about embodied grief as well. So lots going on. It's not an exhibition where you kind of come in, look, and leave. I'm hoping people will come in and stay for a while, kind of connect with everything on a deeper level, and maybe something within them will shift, and maybe in this way, by connecting to other people's stories, that will connect to their own.
Well, it sounds amazing, and it sounds like you've put in so much thought to this. And that, as you said, it's not just come in and look at something. It's going to be a very profound experience for people by the sounds of it, and quite healing and cathartic, I think, for
Mm.
many, many people.
Yeah.
But anybody who, is listening, who is perhaps feeling a sense of loss or grief, or come and take time at this incredible space, because it's 3 weeks, and
Yeah.
hopefully people will spend a good amount of time in this
In
church.
this case, yeah. But also, Tara, I forgot to mention there are workshops as well that I'm putting together with collaboration with local facilitators, um, with the support of crews
Yeah.
that are my partners. They're amazing there. So they will do a little training for the facilitators in grief. And their workshops, again, will look at grief and loss, but in a different kind of from different angles. For example, there's going to be a mindful play where people can create a container and work with their eyes closed and kind of mindfully mix this, feel this clay in their hands. In a very tactile way. There will be a somatic movement and a grief circle journaling where people can write. And there are 2 workshops. One of them I'm running for Ukrainian community to kind of look at the change that's happening right now, the adaptation, and the themes of belonging. And another workshop will be for companions of people who have dementia. Again, dementia is another theme that I'm exploring in my work and I'm very passionate about, because my dad had dementia. And I kind of really, I really, again, like grief, I'm learning about it, and I'm trying to include it in my life, and do as much as possible for people who have dementia. So there's going to be one workshop for people who care for those who have dementia, who are often overlooked, and they do not have time for themselves. And there will be a situation, space for them to kind of connect and talk, and maybe express themselves in, again, in a creative way, and just be and take time for themselves. Yeah. So there will be lots of workshops included as well.
How amazing. And again, just so much thought put into this, truly. I was struck by the idea that, this is community, and I'm such a fan of healing in community. And I wondered if you would share a little bit about your dad and the person he was and what community meant to him.
Yeah, yeah, community meant to him a lot. He was a football coach, and he was coaching yeah, adolescents and young kids, children as well. Yeah, so he was very good with kids, and he was very kind. He was very soft, but strict at the same time. He was very fair with people. Um, I remember when I would go out with him in town, and we would just go for a stroll to the shop. He would be stopped by probably three people just saying hello and chatting to him. And I remember I was so proud, like, oh, like so many people know him, and I'm his daughter. So he was really, and he was always smiling. He was kind. He loved singing. He yeah, was always there for us. Never shouted at us, and community meant a lot for him. And at the funeral, when I came over with my sister, we were shocked to see the amount of footballers and all people, all men, kind of in this room, packed up room, with him lying there and us around, and just their faces, they were all kind of connected to him somehow. And that was really, really special to experience. Yeah. And the kind words they were telling about him. Yeah, he was amazing. So, yeah,
And what's his name?
Rudolph.
Oh, Rudolph. Well, I
Yeah.
really thank you so much for sharing about him, Natalia. Your love for him is really palpable, and
I've
it,
got a photo in my studio of him and his little artwork, and in my house I have a wall where there's my drawing, my painting, my mum's embroidery, and my dad's work as well, all like in one line, and it's like so special to see us all together. Yeah,
yeah, and this thread that connects you of creativity.
yeah,
And how do you feel like the project has sort of supported your grief in a way for your dad?
yeah. It kind of made me really consciously Tara, your amazing word, conscious grief. It's so conscious. Yeah, I think if I didn't have this project, I would just do something else, and I wouldn't spend as much time thinking about him, although I know I want to. It's just whenever I find time, and this project gives me that time, that opportunity, and I'm so happy about this. It's a funny thing, isn't it? Grief, like it's very sad, and it's kind of against our instinct to think about it and want to do something about it. It's like a paradox. If you if you kind of don't think about it, then I feel like something really deeply meaningful is missing. So yeah. So but by working through this project, it kind of really showed me that grief is not going away. It's definitely staying. and the way I was lost in the beginning of not knowing what's right, what should I be feeling, what should I be feeling. It's all, yeah, we feel whatever we feel, and we feel it all the time until the end of my life. I will be grieving. So, and until, yeah, my grief trying to transport somewhere else. But yeah, so it's not going away, and it's looking at all these 200 letters. It's just, and everyone is struck by loss in very individual way. There's so many different stories, so many different layers, so many different emotions. Grief is like not just single emotion like kindness or love. It's everything. It's a combination of everything, massive range. And that's what I kind of learned from this project, and it made me feel kind of accepting and maybe a bit more relaxed about it. Like, yeah, okay, fine, it's not going away, and it's possible to integrate it into your life and do something about it, something positive about it. It's like a driving force. Strange.
Yeah, but it's wonderful that you have, learned so much in this
Mm,
space of time, and you've lent into it as something that you mentioned before we started this call, like there would have probably been a more natural reaction to just push it down and
yeah,
not go towards it.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, but I'm glad this project is helping me look at my own grief, and not push it away. But it took me 2 years to write my own letter. So my mom still can't do it. I'm kind of encouraging her, but yeah. And I guess when I lost my dad, it was a big loss. It was obviously his loss, but also I kind of I was responsible for my mom. She lost her husband, her identity collapsed, the sense of purpose disappeared, and I feel like our roles swapped. Like she used to care for me, and now I feel like I have to care for her and give her what she needs, and trying to work out what she needs. Um, yeah,
Well, as
yeah,
you're describing, our identity changes. And as you
yeah.
described at the beginning of the interview, that happened also when you became a mother.
Oh yes,
And there are so many different forms of loss that
yeah,
continue to appear in our lives all the time. And I think that's what I was really struck by when I first started on this path of death and grieving, was that the very first people that I interviewed was so grateful to have had the opportunity for somebody to
yeah,
ask about these losses. And
mm,
as you said earlier, it's like these profound people in our lives that had such a deep impact on us. And we don't have many opportunities to really talk about them, to express what they meant to us. I think we're getting better at it,
yeah,
but a lot of the time people just put a lid on it and put that little box in the corner. And
yeah,
using our creativity to express what they meant to us,
mm,
in the form of these letters or in an event that you're creating, like yourself, this with Letters to Forever, it's really wonderful ways to mourn. Um,
yeah. I'm just thinking about the letters, the amount of letters that came in. So all these people sat down with their grief, wrote their stories. They clearly wanted to be heard. They wanted this story they wanted to take it out. They wanted to share. They wanted somebody to listen, like me or others, and who will hopefully come to the show and see that they had this voice, and they wanted to be heard. So, as you said, yeah, sharing about our loss is kind of is very important. But we feel like, oh, who's gonna listen? Who's interested? They never met that person. They're, yeah, okay, they're dear to me, but how is it interesting for them? So, yeah, we just feel a bit kind of self-conscious about sharing about our love. That kind of, yeah. So I feel like my love for my dad is actually bigger now than it was because we think our parents are invincible. We think, oh, they're fine. But yeah, but that love is there, but then boom, it just kind of expands and then you don't know what to do with it. And you have to kind of try and work out what can you do with it because there's so much of it.
Yeah, the love it does never die, and it
Yeah.
remains. And as you're saying, I think I relate to what you're saying in terms of when I did start to consciously grieve, and I really looked at my parents and who they were, and having lost them so young, as a child, you're always sort of doing what you can in a sense to sort of distance
Mm.
yourself from your
Yeah.
parents. And then you get to an age where you want to know them, or you think,
Mm.
wow, they did really wonderful things in their lives, or they meant so much to so many other people, as your father did,
Yeah.
being a football coach, and that they were really like amazing people. And I'm not speaking for everybody here, but this
Yeah.
is certainly the experience that I feel like I share with you,
Hmm.
in terms of our fathers.
Yeah.
And yeah, by honoring him in this way, it's really profound. So I think that this event is going to be extremely meaningful. I feel like people may be listening to this thinking, is it too late for them to submit a letter?
Yeah, well, it's probably too late for this exhibition, but this project can be ongoing. I don't know, maybe it's going to grow into something else. It's
Mm.
never too late. And even if it's sitting down and writing and not sending it, or doing this exercise just for themselves, it's still not too late. It's better to do it rather than not do it and to see how it goes. Yeah,
Yeah, because there is something so powerful about letter writing, and you don't, as you said earlier, you just don't know what's going to come out on the
yeah.
page.
Yeah, and every letter is different as well. Depends on how you feel on the day. What do you want to say? Yeah, yeah, it's true.
I would really like to share this sentence that you have written. I believe in the power of art to connect and heal, to turn pain into something that breathes empathy, supporting a model of continuing bonds. My exhibition seeks to offer gentle tools for those navigating grief, highlight the power of art creating a safe and inclusive space where vulnerability is welcome. And I think there's just something so gentle about this. And we can sometimes feel like we're living in a society that lacks empathy. And so if we're people that carry a lot of grief and a lot of pain, often the people around us only have so much capacity for holding and supporting that pain. And we need to find other places or spaces where we can really feel that empathy around us. And I think this is why it's going to be such a powerful event that people can be in this space and be with others who really understand and really feel held and supported.
Yeah, and then vulnerability is a funny thing. Like, yeah, I think the more vulnerable we are, it's like a ripple effect. When you're talking to somebody and you show your own vulnerability, sharing your story, that person is going to open up and share their own story. So it's vulnerability means connection on a deeper level. And that's what the project is about. And I guess in terms of art, helping navigate through loss, it's a very kind of metaphorical way, and it can be abstracted, and it kind of really touches on the subconscious. um, yeah, I think it doesn't have to be specifically art as such. I think for people to connect and navigate grief, I think what I would say to those who are listening is probably to kind of just to find their interests and skills, what they're good at, what they enjoy doing, and incorporate this, apply these to the activity or that helps you connect with that person. It can be art, obviously, for me, photography can be gardening, creating something in the garden or walks or creating a zine or writing something down. It can be anything. I think anyone can be creative, really, in a and it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm consciously making my work imperfect. It's all about the process and kind of connecting to your inner self, being more introspective and letting it all out in a visual form, kind of externalizing the internal.
I think that's a really wonderful reminder for people and a great place for us to complete this interview. I've loved hearing about the event. I'm really looking forward to attending and meeting you in real life, which will be wonderful. So, yeah, I hope anyone who's listening who's in the UK can also join. And I'll make sure that there are links uh,
Yeah.
to the event, instructing people, how to get there and all the rest of it. So, Natalia, thank you so much for all your heart, soul, and passion that's going into this. I know it's an awful lot of work, so I just really want
Yeah.
to acknowledge everything that you are doing and have done and will do in the future.
Thank you, Tara, so much.
You're welcome and see you soon.